The rope bit into her wrists. Blood dried black on the frayed hemp. She didn't cry. Not anymore. The men circled her like wolves, their breath thick with whiskey and want. Behind them, Rufus Cole's gold rings caught the lamplight as he spread his hands wide, grinning. $50, gentlemen. She sews. She cooks. She don't talk back much. His laugh was oily. Money back guarantee if you ain't satisfied. Clara Wade stood there, 25 years old, Irish red hair matted with trail dust, dress torn at the shoulder. She'd survived a wagon train massacre, survived 3 weeks in Rufus's filthy barn. But this auction in a Laramie livestock pen, might be the end of her. Then the door opened. A man stepped into the lamplight. Tall, weathered, eyes like winter steel. He didn't look at the crowd, just at her. And something in that look made Clara's breath catch. Not fear this time. Something else. What would a man like that want with a woman being sold like cattle? If you want to know how far a good man will go to, right or wrong, and what happens when mercy meets desire in the lawless West, stay with me. Hit that like button. You'll want to hear every word of this. Eli Kane had come to Laramie for ammunition and oats. Nothing more. He'd been living alone in the Bighorn foothills for 8 years. Him and Casper, his buckskin gelding who'd saved his life 3 times and never asked for thanks. 8 years since Sarah and little Tommy died screaming while he was out hunting elk, too far away to hear, too late to save them. 8 years of silence. 8 years of penance. He'd heard the voices behind the saloon's back door. Rough laughter. The sound of men bidding on something that shouldn't be for sale. He'd pushed through that door, not because he was a hero. Eli Kane stopped believing in heroes the day he buried his son, but because some things a man can't walk away from, even when he should. The woman's eyes hit him first. Green as spring grass, but hard, defiant. She wasn't broken yet, though God knows Rufus had tried. $50, Eli said. His voice cut through the room like a blade. Rufus Cole's grin faltered. Now hold on, friend. Bidding ain't. $50, American, right now. Eli pulled the bills from his coat, money from 3 head of cattle he'd sold last month. Money he'd planned to save for a hard winter. But some winters were harder than others. The room went quiet. Rufus's eyes narrowed, calculating. $50 was more than he'd get from any of these drunk ranch hands. He snatched the bills, counted them twice, then cut the ropes on Clara's wrists with a knife that had seen too much use. She's yours, friend. But remember, no refunds if she ain't to your liking. Eli didn't answer. He held out his hand to Clara, not grabbing, just offering. She looked at it like it might be a trap. Then she took it. Her palm was calloused from needlework, trembling slightly. "You can walk?" he asked. "I can walk." They moved through the saloon, past the jeering faces. Someone grabbed at Clara's dress. Eli's hand went to his revolver, and the man backed off, still laughing, but not brave enough to push further. Outside, the Wyoming night was cold and sharp. Stars crowded the sky like shattered glass. Casper waited at the hitching post, patient as stone. "Can you ride?" Clara nodded. Eli helped her up behind him. She hesitated before wrapping her arms around his waist, the first time she'd touched a man willingly in 3 weeks. They were 50 yards down the dark road when Pike came after them. He was one of Rufus's men, fat, mean, stupid. He stumbled out of an alley, pistol drawn but wobbling. "You stole the boss's property?" Eli dismounted slowly. Casper knew the drill. He sidestepped away, keeping Clara safe. "She ain't property," Pike spat. "Boss paid good money for her. You think you can just... Eli's fist caught him in the nose before he finished the sentence. The gun went off, wild, punching a hole in the sky. Pike hit the dirt hard, blood streaming. He didn't get up. Eli picked up the pistol, emptied the rounds into his palm, tossed the gun back at Pike's feet. Tell Rufus if he wants his property back, he can come get it himself. He remounted. Clara's arms tightened around him, no hesitation this time. You always settle things that way? She asked. When I need to. Good to know. As they rode into the dark, Clara's hand slipped into Eli's coat. Her fingers found the bone-handled knife at his belt, slid it free. He felt the theft, but said nothing. She needed to feel safe. If stealing his knife did that, let her have it. 30 miles to the cabin. 6 hours in the saddle. Long enough for trust to start or for everything to go wrong. The trail wound through Shoshone territory. High grassland broken by stone ridges and coulees where anything could hide. Eli kept Casper to a steady walk, listening. The horse's ears swiveled, reading the night. You trust that animal more than people, Clara said after an hour of silence. Casper's never lied to me. Has he ever talked to you? Don't need to. He knows the smell of trouble. So do I. Thunder rolled in from the west. The storm came fast. Plains weather, angry and sudden. Lightning split the sky, and Casper danced sideways. Eli spotted a rock overhang ahead, barely large enough for 2 people and a horse. They dismounted. Casper pressed close, flanks shivering. Clara ducked under the overhang beside Eli. The rain came down like nails. She was close enough that he could smell her. Sweat and fear, and something under it, something clean that made his chest tighten. He hadn't been this close to a woman since Sarah. Hadn't wanted to be. You're bleeding, Clara said. She was looking at his wrists, raw from where he'd hit Pike, skin split across the knuckles. Without asking, she pulled a strip of cloth from her dress hem, already torn to hell, and back. Her fingers worked the bandage around his hand, steady and sure. Seamstress hands? Practical. Gentle. Their eyes met in the lightning flash. For a moment, Eli felt something he'd thought died with his wife. Want. Pure and simple, and wrong as hell. He pulled his hand away. Thank you, he said rough. You paid $50 for me. Least I can do is keep you from bleeding out. I didn't buy you. Then what did you do? He didn't have an answer for that. The rain hammered down, and they sat in silence, inches apart, close enough to touch, too far to reach. When the storm passed, they found an old Shoshone man sitting on a boulder 20 yards ahead. He must have been there the whole time. Eli cursed himself for not noticing. The man raised one hand, palm out. Peace. Your horse is good, he said in broken English. His face was like carved wood, weathered and knowing. You treat him like brother. He is my brother, Eli said. The old man smiled. He reached into his pouch, pulled out strips of dried venison, offered them. Eli took them, nodded thanks. Bad men that way. The Shoshone pointed south where Laramie lay. You go north. Safe. We're headed to Bighorn. Good place. I am Blue Eagle. I know your cabin. Sometimes I leave meat for you. So that explained the antler racks Eli found at his door some mornings. He'd thought they were gifts from the land itself. Thank you, Eli said. Blue Eagle looked at Clara. She is strong, like river in flood. Do not break her. I won't. The old man produced a leather pouch, pressed it into Clara's hand. Willow bark. For pain. For healing. Then he was gone, melting into the grassland like smoke. Clara stared at the pouch. He was kind. Shoshone are good people. It's white men you gotta watch out for. She laughed, short, bitter. I'm learning that. Eli's cabin stood in a hollow beneath pine-covered hills, rough-cut logs chinked with clay, a stone chimney leaking wood smoke into the dawn. It wasn't much. One room, a sleeping loft, a table he'd built himself. But it was honest work, and it kept the wind out. Casper nickered as they approached. Home. Inside, Clara looked around slowly. The place was spare. Clean, in a bachelor's way. A harmonica hung on a nail by the fireplace. A pair of Sarah's knitting needles still rested on the mantel, rust-spotted and forgotten. "You can sleep in the loft," Eli said. "I'll take the floor." "I can sleep on the floor." "No." His voice left no room for argument. "You've been sleeping on dirt for weeks. Take the bed." She started to protest, then stopped. Nodded. "Thank you." He gave her one of his old work shirts, faded blue cotton, soft from years of wear. She held it like it was made of gold, disappeared into the corner to change. When she emerged, the shirt hung past her knees, sleeves rolled up. She looked younger, vulnerable. And damn if that didn't twist something in Eli's chest. "I can cook," she offered. "You don't have to." "I need to." Her voice was firm. "I need to prove I'm worth more than $50. So he let her. She found potatoes in his root cellar, salt pork hanging from a rafter, cornmeal in a tin. Within an hour, she'd made a stew that smelled like civilization, like the life Eli had before he lost everything. They ate in silence. The food was good. Too good. It made him remember things he'd tried to forget. "Last time I had a proper meal was—" She trailed off. "Doesn't matter." "Tell me." She looked up surprised. "My mother's wedding. Before the wagon train. Before—" She swallowed hard. "I kept a piece of her wedding dress. Just a scrap. Embroidered with shamrocks. It's all I have left." "I'm sorry." "Why?" "You didn't kill her." "No. But I know what it's like to lose everything." Her eyes sharpened. "Your wife?" "And my son. Tommy. 5 years old. Liked to chase rabbits. He'd bring them back alive, keep them in a box till I made him let them go." Eli stared into his coffee, bitter as guilt, black as memory. "I was hunting when they came. Raiders, Shoshone renegades, maybe both. I don't know. Doesn't matter. By the time I got back, they were dead. Sarah had tried to hide Tommy in the root cellar. They found him anyway." Clara reached across the table, covered his hand with hers. "You couldn't have known. I should have been there. And you'd be dead too. Maybe that would have been better." "No." She squeezed his hand hard. "Because then you wouldn't have been in that saloon tonight. And I'd be—" She didn't finish. Didn't need to. They sat like that for a long moment, hands touching across rough wood, two broken people trying to figure out if broken things could still hold together. Finally, Clara pulled away. "I should sleep." "Yeah." But neither of them moved. "Eli," she said softly, "why did you really buy me?" "The truth." He looked at her. Really looked. At the bruises on her cheek, the defiance in her eyes, the way she held herself like she was ready to run or fight at any second. "Because," he said slowly, "I couldn't save Sarah, couldn't save Tommy, but I could save you, even if it cost me everything." Tears slipped down her face, silent. "I'll pay you back, however long it takes. You don't owe me anything. I owe you my life." "Then live it," Eli said. "That's payment enough." They fell into a rhythm. Clara mended clothes, cooked meals, hauled water from the creek. Eli worked the land, checked his traps, tended Casper. They moved around each other like dancers learning the steps. Careful, polite, aware of every accidental touch. But awareness isn't the same as indifference. One evening, Clara sat by the fireplace, sewing up the sleeve of Eli's coat. She'd found the scrap of embroidered cloth, her mother's shamrocks, and was stitching it into the pocket as a patch. Her hands moved quick and sure, needle flashing in the lamplight. Eli watched from the table, pretending to clean his rifle. Really, he was watching her. The curve of her neck, the way firelight caught copper in her hair, the small furrow between her brows when she concentrated. "You're staring," she said without looking up. "Sorry. Don't be sorry. Just don't lie about it." She tied off the thread, bit it clean with her teeth, held up the coat, examining her work. The shamrock patch looked like it had always been there. Green thread on faded brown, Irish luck sewn into Wyoming leather. "There," she said. "Now you carry a piece of my mother. And me." She handed him the coat. Their fingers brushed. Neither pulled away. "Clara, don't." She stood abruptly, stepping back. "Don't say whatever you're about to say. Not yet." "Why not?" "Because I don't know if I'm ready to hear it. I don't know if I'm ready to feel anything except afraid." Eli rose slowly, taking one step toward her. Just one. "I'm not going to hurt you." "I know. That's what scares me." She wrapped her arms around herself. "All my life men have taken from me. My father drank himself to death and left us with nothing. My mother married a man who beat her. The wagon master who was supposed to protect us ran when the raiders came. Rufus," she shuddered. "Rufus made me feel like an animal. Less than an animal. And then you... Then I what? You make me feel human again. And I don't know if I can stand it. Because if I let myself feel again, really feel, then I have to remember everything I lost. And I'm not strong enough for that yet." Eli wanted to reach for her, wanted to hold her and tell her she was stronger than she knew. But he understood the need for distance, for time. He'd needed 8 years of it. "I'll wait," he said. "For what?" "For whenever you're ready." She looked at him for a long time. Then she nodded, turned, climbed the ladder to the loft. Eli stood alone by the fire, holding the coat with her mother's shamrocks sewn into the pocket, wondering if waiting was enough. Wondering if anything would ever be enough to heal the kind of wounds they both carried. They came at dawn 4 days later. Eli was feeding Casper when he heard the horses. 2 riders, coming fast, up the trail. He recognized the type before he saw their faces. Hired muscle, the kind Rufus Cole used for dirty work. "Clara," he called quietly. "Inside. Now." She was at the creek, washing clothes. She looked up, saw his face, grabbed the knife he'd let her keep. Ran for the cabin. The riders reined up 30 feet from the door. The big one, Jed Crow, scar bisecting his face from temple to jaw, grinned down at Eli. "Morning, friend. We're here for Mr. Cole's property." "She ain't property." "Mr. Cole says different. Says you stole her. That's a hanging offense." The second man, small, wiry, nervous, kept his hand on his pistol. They called him Billy the Rat. He'd killed 3 men in saloon fights and bragged about it. "I paid $50, Eli said evenly. "Fair and square." "Mr. Cole's decided that wasn't enough. He wants her back. And the money." "He can go to hell." Jed's grin widened. "Wrong answer." He dismounted, and Billy followed. Eli's hand hovered near his revolver, but he knew the math. 2 against 1, and Clara trapped inside. If bullets started flying, she'd be in the crossfire. "You really want to die for a whore?" Jed asked. "Call her that again, and I'll kill you with my bare hands." "Big talk from a—" Eli hit him before he finished. Straight right cross, all his weight behind it. Jed staggered back, blood spraying from his nose. He roared, charged. They grappled, went down hard. Jed was bigger, meaner, but Eli fought like a man with nothing left to lose. They rolled in the dirt, trading blows. Eli got on top, hammered Jed's face until his knuckles split. Then the gunshot cracked across the morning. Pain exploded in Eli's shoulder, white-hot and disabling. He rolled off Jed, clutching the wound. Blood welled between his fingers, dark and thick. Billy the Rat stood 10 feet away, smoking pistol in hand, grinning. "Should have just given her up, old man." He raised the gun for a second shot. The knife took him in the back. Billy screamed, arched, dropped the pistol. He spun, clawing at the bone handle protruding from his spine. Clara stood in the cabin doorway, face white, shaking. You bitch!" Billy collapsed, twitching, then still. Jed Crow scrambled to his feet, saw his partner dead, saw Eli bleeding, saw Clara with murder in her eyes. He ran for his horse, mounted, spurred it hard back down the trail. Eli tried to stand, fell. Clara was there, hands pressed to his shoulder, blood soaking through her fingers. "I killed him," she whispered. "I killed a man." "You saved my life." "I killed him." "Clara, look at me." He gripped her arm. "You did what you had to do. That's not murder. That's survival." She started to cry. Great, racking sobs she'd been holding back for weeks. Eli pulled her close with his good arm, let her weep into his chest, while his blood soaked into her mother's shamrock patch. "I've got you," he murmured. "I've got you." Casper came over, nuzzled Eli's hair, whickered softly. Even the horse understood. They'd crossed a line today. There was no going back. Clara cleaned the wound with whiskey, her hands steadier now, focused. The bullet had gone through the meat of Eli's shoulder, missed the bone. Lucky. In Wyoming, lucky meant you lived to see tomorrow. She packed the wound with Blue Eagle's willow bark, wrapped it tight. Eli gritted his teeth, didn't make a sound. When she finished, she sat back on her heels, staring at her hands. They were stained red. "I can still feel the knife going in," she said. "The way it stuck. The way he screamed." "First time? Killing someone?" "Yes." "First time someone tried to kill you?" "Third." She laughed, sharp, bitter. "3 times. God. And here I thought my life was hard." "It was. It is. You just learned how to fight back." She looked at him, eyes fierce. "I'm not sorry I did it." "Good. Don't be. But I'm scared of what it means. What I'm becoming." "You're becoming someone who survives. Nothing wrong with that." She stood, walked to the door, looked out at where Billy's body lay crumpled in the dirt. "We should bury him." "We should. But not today. Today you rest. Tomorrow we'll deal with the dead." She turned back. "What if they send more?" "They won't. Rufus is a coward. He hired Muscle because he wouldn't risk his own neck. Now his Muscle is dead or running scared. He'll cut his losses." "You sure?" "Sure enough." She came back to him, knelt beside the bed where he lay. For a long moment they just looked at each other. 2 people who'd walked through fire and somehow came out the other side, still breathing. "Eli," she said softly, "when you were bleeding, when I thought you might die, I realized something." "What?" "I don't want to lose you. I don't want to be alone again. I don't want to keep running from everything I feel. Clara, I'm ready now. I'm ready to feel." She leaned down, kissed him. Gentle at first, then deeper. He tasted salt. Her tears or his blood, he didn't know. His good arm came up, pulled her close. She climbed onto the bed beside him, careful of his wounded shoulder, and they held each other like drowning people hold driftwood. "I can't promise you easy," Eli said when they finally broke apart. "This life is hard. This land doesn't forgive. I don't want easy. I want real. I want you. Then you've got me, for as long as you'll have me." She laid her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat, steady, strong, alive. Outside the sun climbed higher. Casper grazed peacefully. The body in the yard would need burying come morning. But right now, in this moment, there was only warmth and breath and the feeling of finally coming home. They buried Billy the rat at the edge of the property. No marker, no words. The ground was hard. It took 3 hours. When they finished, Clara planted her hands on the shovel, looked at Eli. Think he had family? Probably. Think they'll miss him? Maybe. Probably not the way they should. She nodded slowly. That's the saddest part, isn't it? Dying and nobody really mourning you. Yeah, it is. They walked back to the cabin together. Eli's shoulder was healing, pain fading to a dull ache. Inside, Clara had made coffee, better than his attempts, which Casper had refused to drink. She'd also sewn him a new shirt, used that shamrock patch as decoration on the pocket. You're stuck with me now, she said, handing him the shirt. That cloth is all I have of my mother. Now it's tied to you. Can't get rid of me without cutting out a piece of her. Never planned on getting rid of you. Good. They stood close, not touching, but not apart. What happens now? She asked. We live. We work the land. Maybe get some chickens. Fix the roof before winter. See what comes? What about Rufus? What about Laramie? We stay away. Build our own life here. Let the past stay buried. She smiled. Slow. Genuine. Beautiful. I'd like that. That afternoon, they planted an apple tree beside the cabin. Clara's idea. Something living. Something that would grow and bear fruit. Something that said we're staying. Eli dug the hole. Clara placed the sapling, packed the soil around its roots. How long before it gives us apples? She asked. 3, maybe 4 years. That's a long time. It is. You planning on staying that long? She looked at him, brushed dirt off her hands. Longer if you'll have me. I'll have you. Casper wandered over, sniffed the tree, then nuzzled Clara's shoulder. She laughed, scratched between his ears. I think he approves. He's got good judgment. They stood on the hillside as the sun dropped toward the bighorn peaks, painting the grassland gold. Clara leaned into Eli, his good arm around her shoulders. Somewhere out there, the world was hard and cruel. Men like Rufus still sold women like cattle. The law was weak or bought or both. Violence waited in every shadow. But here, on this hill, with this man and this horse and this tree taking root in Wyoming soil, Clara felt something she'd thought was gone forever. Hope. If I leave, she said quietly, it'll be because I choose to. Not because someone forces me. But I'm not leaving, Eli. I'm choosing to stay. Why? Because for the first time in my life, I'm exactly where I want to be. He kissed the top of her head, said nothing. Words would have ruined it. They walked back to the cabin as twilight deepened. Inside, Eli took down the harmonica, played O Susanna. One more time. Clara sang her Irish lullaby. Outside, Casper whinnied softly, a sound like contentment, like peace. The future wasn't certain. Danger might come again. Winter would be hard. The land would test them. But they'd face it together. And that was enough. If this story touched you, give it a like. Hit subscribe if you want more tales from the unforgiving West. Stories about what people become when everything's stripped away, except their choices. Drop a comment and tell me where you're listening from. I've got more stories waiting in the shadows, and I think you're ready to hear them. Until next time, partner.